foreign altogether. So.
Where are you from originally, Laurel?
I am from New Jersey.
Oh, cool. Nice. I'm a Marylander. We're pretty much from the same state.
I lived in DC for 5 years.
There you go.
Yeah. I haven't lived in New Jersey now for 14 years. Looking forward to it being 34 years, 44 years, 54 years, and never returning.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Not about New Jersey.
Randomly about New Jersey.
All right, so I feel like we could probably kick it off, and people may trickle in, and if not, they'll be able to view this on the recording. So I'll hand it over to Doe, and I think you made the initial outreach to the Gavel folks. So take it from here, and yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it did. Thank you, Brian. And the reason why we are here and why I asked Maddie to join us and show us her product is because I was really impressed with it. Gavel provides legal document automation and offers so many different use cases. And seeing the demo myself, initially, it just was so simple to use and so easy. And looks like you can do so many things with it, whether you're in a solo practice or in a bigger firm. And so that's why I thought it would be a great demo for this group, so everyone else can see it and ask questions live and kind of get the best out of it. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Maddie, and she can show us all around.
Great. Well, hi, thank you. Thanks, Doe. Yeah, I'm Maddie Buck. I'm on the customer success team at Gavel. And I'll show you around in a second, but we are a document automation platform, as I said, and that means that if you have documents that you do over and over and over and over again, and you're currently doing it by hand, replacing the fields and everything, you can make that experience be a questionnaire that generates documents instead. That's like the basic concept. So I usually am doing one-on-one demos and like to ask questions. So if you don't want to participate or answer, that's fine. But tell me a little bit about what your practice area is, and like if you have any documents that you are doing over and over again. I'm curious.
Look at Brock. I feel like he has a lot of documents.
It must be a problem that relates to you. That's what I'm going to take.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, it's a variety of things, but most commonly MSA markups, BAAs that are more healthcare focused. Very, very repeatable.
And so the commonly what we see is someone will be like Control F and finding the fields in the document and then like replacing them. But then maybe there are typos that come through and that type of thing. So this is helping to alleviate that problem. Okay, I'm just gonna go and start showing you guys around. If you have questions, just let me know. I'll probably pause it a few times. And usually I'm on Zoom, so I'm gonna make sure that I share this the right way. Okay. Okay, so I am sharing my screen here. This is my Gavel dashboard. This is where I have all of my workflows. Workflow is our term for questionnaire. It's a set of questions that generates documents. I have a ton on my demo account, but when you sign up for a trial, you would just have the sample intake form as an example of what's possible, because Gavel is meant to be a tool for you to build the document automation that you need, as opposed to providing you with templates. So I'm going to show you what it looks like to run one of these questionnaires that will generate documents. And the look that what I'm going to show you will be the same for if you were doing this internally, like you're just doing this part of your internal process, or if you were to share a link with a client and having them enter the information. It can be the same look for both. So we'll take one together. This is one of my super basic workflows questionnaires. I have a video here just to show you that it's possible to embed video and images in here. which we'll see a lot when people are making these client-facing questionnaires, because they can educate the client at the same time as they're asking them to answer questions. So I'm going to fill this in. You can add links and buttons. These are all questions that I've written, different question types that I decide how many are on each page, all of that. Can keep going. That's a page that I need to delete. We have, you can add logic to questions. So in this case, if I click married, there's a follow-up, but if I click single, there isn't. So you can decide conditionally, have certain questions show up conditionally. You can also have pages show up conditionally. So you're making sure that the questions that are being asked that are going into this document are the ones that should be asked for the certain circumstance. We also have a type of question that allows you to collect information when you don't know how many of something there's going to be. So here in the estate planning context, I don't know how many children someone has. Maybe in a real estate context, I don't know how many owners of the property there are or something. I can just keep adding another for each one that there are. So I can set up the questions that way to pull in the information in that way. And then there's a review page for that type of question. We also have signature type questions. This is not a certified signature, but we do integrate with DocuSign if certified signatures are needed. When you get to the end of one of these questionnaires, so this is a super simple one. In reality, they're probably going to ask more questions than this. When you get to the end, you get this review page where you can go back and change any answers if you need to and just see your answers. And then at the very end, then you can generate the documents. You can have them output as PDFs or Word docs, and you can define whether it's one or the other or both. You can also, if you were to make this a client-facing questionnaire, you could hide this page so that your clients are just putting in the information and then you have access to the documents yourself. So we can just see my dummy document. It's been filled in with the dummy data that we put in. So that's what it looks like to fill out one of these that's already been built. And by the way, you can customize everything how it looks. So you can embed it on your website. Like here's an example, one that's embedded on a website. You can brand it up with your information. Everything I showed you was all Gavel and not looking as super pretty as you could. So, okay, now I'll show you. Well, does anyone have questions about what I just showed you? I'm gonna assume not, but okay. Next, I'm going to show you how you build one of these. So we have two ways of building. You can either start by creating questions, or you can start by uploading a document and having the AI scan it. I'm going to show you the questions version first because that's our traditional way of doing things. So this is a workflow I've started that already has questions that I've already created, has questions in it. Each of these boxes is a question, and I've decided what the question says and then what type it is. So like I could add another question here. We'll make it a text question. We'll type out the question, what is your favorite color, for example, and then I'll choose a variable name. And the variable name is key because that's what's going to connect in with my documents. And that's going to know like when put the answer to this question in the spot that says color. I can also add logic to the question. So if I only want this to show if the hear about us variable was online, if they answer that question as online, then this question will show up. So I can set logic on questions, and I can also do the same thing to have pages appear conditionally. And so I do that throughout with the questions that, like, if I'm thinking about my document that I fill in manually all the time, what are the questions I'm asking myself when I'm filling this in? Those are the questions that you're creating on here to automate the process. So we start out by creating all the questions that you're going to ask in your workflow, and then you'll upload the relevant documents that you want to automate. So in this case, I've uploaded a Word document. We can also automate into fillable field PDFs if that's relevant to your practice area. So I upload this document, and now it's available to me. And I can upload multiple documents if I want to. I'm going to pause. I want to see that question. Could certain answers conditionally add or remove clauses in a contract? Yes, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to show you the actual document and how you can show certain text conditionally. Okay, so you could upload multiple documents if you want. You could also have no documents if you just want to do like a flow of like what kind of relief someone gets or something like that. You just want it to be like a logic tree. If I have multiple documents uploaded, I can put logic on their outputs. So I can say, depending on question A, then this one document comes out. But then if they answer this way, then this other document comes out. So I can add rules and conditions on the document outputs as well. Okay, so I'm gonna work on switching my screen over to my Microsoft Word, but does anyone have any other questions? Any questions based on what I showed you just now? Gonna assume it's a no. Okay, so I should be sharing my Word screen. Yes, okay. So now the second part of the automating process is to put the fields that we created, the variables inside of your document. And the way that you do this in Microsoft Word is, or in a Word document, is using our Word add-in. So this you can get from the Word add-in store, and then you sign in with all of your Gavel information. And then you have, if you've created a workflow already, we did that earlier, like we had questions, you can grab that workflow, that questionnaire. Collecting information is the one we were looking at. And then all of the variables in that questionnaire are available to me to insert into my document. So in this case, my super basic document, I know that I'm always putting client name in this one spot. So I want to put a variable client name in that one spot. So I can use the word add-in to do that. So I'm going to find client name. This is a question in my questionnaire. I want it to be all uppercase, and then I'll insert the variable. So then it puts that in. I didn't have to deal with the syntax. It just puts it in for me. I can put it in another spot, and maybe this time I want it to be standard formatting, and then I've got it there. I'll go through my document and I'll put these in all of the spots where things should go. Like if I need, what other variables do I have in here? If I need the deadline date to go in right here, then I'll put that in. I can also use my Word document as I already would. So maybe I have colors in there, or I have things in different size text or something. I can still do all of that. I can use bullets and numbering and all of that still. Okay, so this now, I think this is what the question was asking me. Can you show text conditionally? So yes, the way that you do that also is with the Word add-in. So I have this option to show phrase when and show paragraph when. And so in this context, I have a sentence about a spouse. That's only going to be relevant if the person is married. So I want to show this phrase when the person is married. So I build that condition, have a marital status question. Marital status is married, insert condition. So now it puts these little tags, it's like a little sandwich around the sentence. And so that means only show this sentence when the person is married. So I can go through and then I can show other bits of text based on other conditions. And I just use the word add-in to build those conditions. So this is like your tool for making the code, and you don't have to deal with the code really. You can do that at the page level also, the like word or letter, pronouns, all of that you can do in different ways using this. Okay, so you can also do date calculations, 30 days past a certain date or something like that, or numerical calculations. And then you can pull in repeating items. So those were that question type where I didn't know how many of something I would have, how many children, how many owners of that property. I can bring that in different ways. So a list, lots of different list types, or maybe a table, I'll show you that. And so this is going to create a table in my document. So for, I'll see the child's name and their date of birth on each row for however many I put in. So the nice thing about that is just you can, if you have different ways you want to pull that information in, this is going to help you get the syntax to do that. So then I already have this uploaded, connected to that workflow. So then I can go down here and I can update it in Gavel like that. That's like saving my work. And now this version right here is connected to the end of that workflow that we originally took together. So that's the process for automating into a Word document. I'm going to close out of there. Does anyone have any questions about that piece while I go back? Okay. I'm just sharing my screen again. I've gone back to my Gavel dashboard. Okay, so let's see what I want to show you next. The other thing that you can do in Gavel is see the data that you're collecting. So I can see, and this is especially useful if you were ever to make a workflow client-facing. And actually, let me pause to explain this client-facing concept a little bit. So people will use us internally, just I'm generating my documents as part of my daily practice. Other people will do a little bit of both. So they'll have like an intake type questionnaire that they want to share with a client. And so for each of these workflows, there's a link that's available. And you could like put that on your website in an email. This is me following that link. And then like a client could come here and then they could just fill out that questionnaire. And then you get the information, you can get the documents on your side. You can also, I don't have my full screen shared, but you can also set it up so that it forces the user to log in and like to create an end user Gavel account, and so that there's a password protected option basically if you want that for your clients. So say we had the situation where I shared it with my client and I want to see the information that they just put in. I want to grab their documents. I can use my data manager to do this. So I can go and I can select the relevant workflow, and I can go in and see all the times that it's been filled out. So these are all the times that this workflow has been answered. I can see here who filled it out if they've logged in. So this is one of my end users who's logged in and filled it out. And then I can see all of their answers. So like here, I can click open. It's going to take me to where they left off. So this person didn't get very far. They didn't finish. I can download the documents. This is the one that we just did earlier. I could download the documents again. I could click back. I could make a change. Maybe they spelled their name wrong. Can update it, and then it's also going to pull in the most updated version of that template. So we just made some updates to it. So this is going to pull in the most updated version. We can see like I changed it blue and made this really big. So that's pulling in the changes that I made to the document there. So the data manager just helps you keep track of the information that's coming in, and then also make changes, manipulate things, regenerate documents. The other thing that I can do with this, if I'm building with matching variable names, I can push data around. So maybe I have an intake workflow, but then I have, or maybe a client comes back later and we want to get some other documents related to them. If I have matching variable names, then I can push relevant data through. So this one, we're going to take Camille's information. We're going to push it into my other workflow that has a few matching variables. And then, so these are spots where I had matching variables and that information pushes through. So you could have a lot of information that pushes through and then you wouldn't have to manually fill it out again. Just another thing that I like to share that you can do. What level of integration does Gavel have with different databases if you need to pull data from the database? So we will see people using Zapier to, I can go to the Zapier page, to move data around. So you could, so you can go to the Gavel here and you can see like all the things that Zapier connects with, we connect with. So you can pull from other places and push them into a Gavel workflow. And then you can also send documents or data at the end of a workflow as well using Zapier. We also have an API for our enterprise. Like you can connect using the API if you're an enterprise customer. Okay, let's see. Okay, so another thing to share, another thing that you can do with Gavel and that we get really excited about is turning your work into legal products. So we have an option called bundles, which allows you to bundle up a workflow, and then let's look at one. Bundle up a workflow and then put a paywall on it. So this one just has one workflow in it. If I were to start this at some point in the process, you can choose where. It's either at the beginning, before you answer the questions or before you generate the documents, it can force payment. So it's a way you could have this on your website. Maybe you have a part of your practice that works well to package as a product. Maybe you have like wills, a really simple will that you want to make into a product and have a low touch experience with a client. That's something that this bundles tool allows you to do. So it's another thing to keep in mind that we see people doing once they've built a few workflows with us. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shown so far? Oh, I have another thing I can show you. Okay. So I also mentioned that you can automate into fillable field PDFs. So I'm going to show you an example of that. It looks a little bit differently than the Word document option that I showed you. So I have here my document templates. I've uploaded a PDF and I have a few questions here, questions that are related to the things that need to be filled in this PDF. And I can go here to tag, and when I do this, it's going to show me the PDF. It might look really small on your computer, sorry. But I can grab the field and then I can choose, all right, I will actually, for right here, I need to insert, let's do a different one. I want to insert a variable. So I'm going to insert the parent name variable. And then I can go through and I match up all of the fields in my workflow to the fields in the PDF. And I can also do check boxes. So I'm going to do insert conditional value. If the vet last name is Buck, it's a very unique circumstance, then that's my last name, then this field will be checked. But so you can have the check boxes filled in, you can have radio buttons filled in, and then conditionally fill them in and all of that. So this is a new thing we've been able to automate into PDFs for a long time, but we just released this option where you can see the fields right there and tag them like that. So we're all super excited about that. All right, so I'm gonna exit without saving. And so when I started out, I mentioned that there are two ways generally of building, that you can either start with the questions or you can start with the document. So I showed you how you would start with the questions, you create the questions, then you go over to the Word document or the PDF, and then you start filling them in. The other option that we have is to start with the documents. So when you do this, you can upload Word documents, and this is our AI implementation. It's still in beta mode. But you can upload a document, and then when you do that, so I'm going to open it here, this one that I already started, it will scan the document and it will suggest places where it thinks it should be a variable, and it will suggest questions. So it's going to help you get started on that workflow building process that we were doing manually earlier. And it's going to get you started on it. So here, this is suggesting, like, is this a question? Like right here, should the question be, what is the name of the testator? And you can go through and be like, yeah, this is right, or no, that's not the right thing, that type of thing. And you can adjust on the questions, and then you can click draft a workflow, and I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the example. So then it will draft a workflow, and then it will put these are all questions that it suggested. I just said, yes, go ahead, draft it, I agree. It suggested all these questions. It's written all of this for me. I didn't have to do this by hand, because otherwise you would be creating all these yourself. I'm still going to review its work. I'm going to maybe add some logic if I want to have it show up in a certain circumstance. I might move the pages around if I don't like them all on one page, that type of thing. Because I'm the one who knows best, right? You always want to review the work of the AI. The other thing I can do is download the document, and it has already put in tags like we did manually earlier with the Word add-in. It has done this in here already, but I'm going to open it up and I'm going to review it, and maybe it missed a few spots and I'm going to put them in a different spot. So the cool thing about this is that it takes your document, it gets you started, and then you can go from there. So that's another thing that we came out with a few months ago, and it just keeps getting better and better, which is exciting. And soon it will start reading PDFs. It's in the works.
Just so I like understand the workflow there. So you upload the document, that makes sense. It finds all these areas. It basically reads an old document, let's say, other parties' information, or maybe it's a template. It could be either. Then it suggests which ones should be variables. I'm guessing it just like grabs. It doesn't do like conditional stuff or like calculations, but okay.
No, it doesn't. It's like basically text fields at this point, and dates and stuff like that, but not conditional things yet.
Cool. And then then you go through the questions flow and you can adjust certain things, but ultimately you can go back into the editor and like make other fields variables and kind of add that. Okay.
Yeah, so the reason why I like to show you that more manual way first is that's what you would do once you have your kind of like started version. Like it gives you a draft and then you can keep working on it in that way I showed you earlier.
That's great.
Yeah. These are all of the big points that I like to hit. Is like, does anybody have any other questions or anything you're curious about? I can also mention that some people are like, oh, this is really fun. I really want to do all this building myself. And then other people see the value, but they don't have the time or want to put their own time into it. So we also have Gavel experts that we can refer people to that are really good at the building, know how to do this and do this all the time. So it's another thing, if you were like, oh, I'm really interested, we can always refer you to a Gavel expert. Is there anybody in here who is a Clio user?
I use Clio, but I'm not the one. Like I use it I do work for a separate firm that implements Clio, and I'm familiar with Clio, but I'm not like an admin where I'm doing stuff with it.
Okay, well, we do integrate, with Clio. So if you are someone who uses Clio and the fields are really good and you want to use Clio fields to automate your documents, that's also a thing we do. So this is a workflow that has Clio in it, and I can just go here and choose the matter, the contacts, and then maybe I have a few other Gavel questions that are follow-ups. But then when I do that, I have all of the Clio fields available to me, and then in my Word add-in, I have the Clio fields that I can build the template with all of the Clio fields also. So another thing to keep in mind for anyone who uses Clio.
That's great.
Yeah.
So with other like CRM or matter management tools, you would integrate with Zapier.
Yeah, that's what we see people using Zapier to move data around.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Does it make sense to people? Can you see it? Can you see it in action? I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, totally. I think the ROI would have to make sense. It would have to be a document that I do like just basically doing over and over and over again. So for my practice, I'd have to figure out what those are. But yeah, for the most part, it seems super valuable, especially as a one person practice. I don't know, but I imagine if I start to hire and bring people on to do kind of like lower cost, lower value type things on repeat, this would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. If you have things that you're doing just over and over and over again, they can be really useful there. Okay, well, one other thing to note, we do have a few different tiers, just FYI, I don't need to get into it, but some of the features are different on different tiers. And then we have a free trial. So if you ever wanted to give this a try, play around with it, you can just do a 7-day free trial. I'm on the help. I'm doing a demo, but I'm on the support team. So I'm one of the people that if you have questions, we're here to help you and do support calls and stuff like that. So we like helping people figure out how to build if that's what they want to do, and then can always refer people to experts if that's what they want to do. So yeah.
Cool. Are there any, like you said, there aren't any templates that come with when you download or when you subscribe to Gavel. But is there like a way? I know there's like that specialist kind of marketplace. Is there like a marketplace for templates to get started, or are you basically building from scratch when you start?
So you can use the AI tool to not quite build from scratch. I've started building out some estate planning related templates because we get a lot of questions like that are just like templates of the workflow but not of the documents. So I have one of those for estate planning at this point and want to build more. And then we do have a marketplace where people have built other things, but that's more kind of if you want to use their app that they've built to generate a document. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Great.
Cool. Well, that's all. That's what I like to share. So I don't know if you guys have any other questions, but that's what I've got for you today.
This is great, Maddie. Thank you so much for taking the time and walking us through it. I think as it was for me after I saw your first demo, I was like, oh yeah, there's like so many different things, but you just sort of start thinking through it after the fact. And so the recording will be available for the community, and we're also, obviously, as you're saying, there is a free trial, so I'll encourage everyone to go check it out and try it out. And Maddie is out there answering any questions that you'll have after the demo as well.
Yeah, and we like you can always sign up for a call. Like we like strategy calls. Like I like thinking with people, what is your current process and how could you do it better? There's probably a way to do that. So it's just a matter of figuring it out. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, Maddie.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
So much. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.